Okay, so tonight we are here to speak about Pessah. Pessah. Pessah has different type of names. Like Pessah is called Pessah, which means different things. Pe, like the mouth. Sach, like a sicha, to speak, right? So this the mouth that speaks, right? Pesach is also Passover, as they say in English, right? Why? Because it refers to Hakadosh Baruch Hu who passed over the house of the Ivrim on the night of the 10th Makot, right? And Pesach is also called Zman Cherutenu, right? What does it mean? It means Zman, the time of our freedom, right? And it's interesting because Zman has the same shorash as root as Hazmana. It's an invitation. It's not just a time, a period. It is an invitation to what? To be free. Meaning that every single year, since we are in 5784, so imagine, it's been, as we say in Arabic, yasfa. We say it's really like, yes. It's been really a long time that every year Hakadosh Baruch Hu is sending us an invitation. Okay, you're busy cleaning, but you should know that this time of the year, there's something bigger behind your cleaning, your sweeper, your broom, your right. Why? What is there behind that? He invites us to go out. To go out from where? From Mitzrayim. What does it mean, Mitzrayim today? Mitzrayim today means, what Mitzrayim means is, it comes from the root, Sarah. Sarah, what is it? We have problems, something that narrows, that limits, that it feels constraint, right? How do you say the labor, the contractions of the labor? Sirim, right? Sirim is the contractions. When you're contracted, when it's painful and contracted, when it's so narrow that you cannot really be, right? So this is Mitzrayim. It's what constrains us and what is taking away from my ability to be me, okay? What is limiting me from being myself, okay? Yourself, whatever it is, okay? So it's very interesting. Who is that me? When I say Ani, in Hebrew, what do I mean? So, what? Yourself. Yourself. Okay, but who is that self? Am I this body that you see? Am I limited to that? And then when we say that someone dies, what happens? There is separation between the neshama, the soul, and the body. So someone who, how are you doing? So when we say I, it usually refers to the living soul that is inside of that body. Because when someone is niftar, like Mr. Azerwal, that we are tonight honoring the memory, right? Well, his neshama is still alive. This is him, right? The body separated from the neshama. And this is what we consider the end of life in this world. But the neshama, and that's why there are candles burning, because we remind ourselves, he is still burning, he is still alive, like this flame that is in between this world and the spiritual world. This is the only thing that exists that I cannot touch. You cannot touch the flame, right? And yet it's here. You cannot really touch it. It's the most spiritual thing that we have, okay? So if Ani, me, is that neshama inside of this body, I have to understand one thing. Ani, this neshama, Ani, Hebrew is Aleph Nun Yud, right? And it's the same letters as Ein. What is Ein? It's a reference to Ein Sof, the unlimited, which is Akadosh Baruch Hu. So I have to understand that within that body, which is limited, and I can tell you, because I have a coach that comes to my house every Monday and Friday. She's a very good friend of mine. And sometimes she tells me to do things that I promise you, even if I wanted, I couldn't. Like, no, but do 30, lift up like that, and push and lift your head, your feet, and do this. And I'm like, listen, I'm limited. I cannot do that. Okay? I'm limited. My body is limited, right? There's only so much we can do physically, even emotionally. I have needs. I cannot go for 5 days without eating. I have vital needs, right? But there is something that is unlimited. It is your neshama. The neshama is like a hand inside of the glove, right? The body is the glove. The hand is the soul. Are you comfortable in that small chair?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm very comfortable.
You sure? You don't want that chair?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. I'm not going to sit, I think. Okay. So it's very interesting to understand that this body is, per definition, a limiting thing for our neshama, right? But as we grow in life, as we grow in age, between a child who feels very limited, he doesn't have a sense of limit, and a grown-up, we built up so many mental limits, right? We know that we are limited. A child might think that he can fly from the terrace or the balcony, but we know that we cannot fly, right? So we're not going to try to jump. So it's very interesting to see that we limit ourselves from being illimited, from being the neshama, from the force of that neshama. How? Because we are receiving messages from the environment we grow up in, whether our parents, our teachers, our friends. They tell us, not only you're limited, my dear, but you cannot do that. Oh, you're so shy, you cannot speak in public. You are clumsy. Clumsy? How do you say? Clumsy. Okay, clumsy. So you cannot manage to take fragile things or carry anything. Like you are a woman, so you are not able to speak in public, or you are not able to drive, or you don't know how to do this or to do that. Depending on the society we live in, we also start getting imprinted by those messages that limit us, right? So this is what we call a narrow mindset, right? The narrow mindset is what limits us. I can't do that. I'm never going to make it. I'm not worth it. I am fat. I am too skinny. I don't have enough breast. I don't know, like whatever you name it, whatever you think is limiting you to be good in your shoes, to feel good in your shoes, right? So this is the narrow mindset. On Pessah, every single year, Hakadosh Baruch Hu is inviting us to what? To do the Yetziat Mitzrayim, to get out of that narrowness, right? To cross the sea, and the sea can open for you too. And what's going to happen when the sea opens? You're going to be able to have a growth mindset, be able to see infinite in front of you, to think that, yes, I am able. Who said that I cannot drive? A woman in Afghanistan, in Saudi Arabia, might think she's not able to drive. Why? Because she's not able legally to drive. But here in the United States, what do we do most of the time? We drive, right? We're all day in our cars, connecting, commuting from one place to another, doing carpool. We know that women can drive, right? Because we didn't grow up with that narrow mindset. But we have other narrow mindsets. So every year in Pessah, Akadosh Baruch Hu is inviting us to make a switch between narrow mindset to growth mindset. And that's what we're going to try to do today together through three tools that the Torah teaches us. Those three tools all start with a P because it's Pessah. So I try to find words that will represent those keys in order to be like an easy way to remind ourselves, right? So in order to switch from a narrow mindset to a growth mindset, first, I have to understand that most of the things that limit me go through three words. Personalization, and we're going to see what it means. Then permanence, and the last one is pervasiveness. Did I say it well? It's pervasiveness. We'll see what it means, right? And we're going to try to get out of those kind of thoughts of thinking, because this is how we are going to get out of our personal Egypt. So what is personalization? Personalization is when we limit ourselves because of something we didn't do. We didn't really create that thing, but we don't authorize ourselves but we let that thing limit us. I'm going to give you an example. If, for instance, you have a friend who tells you, take me to the airport, please, I need to go. She doesn't know that there is an app that says Uber. Okay, she calls you and she said, can you take me to the airport? You say, I'm so sorry, but I can't right now. Like I have to pick up my kids from school. I can't take you at that time. Okay, so she takes an Uber. And the Uber, what happens to the Uber? The tire becomes flat or he gets arrested, right? And she misses her flight. She's gonna call you and tell you, hey, are you kidding me? You know, because of you, what happened? Because of you, I missed my flight. Personalization, what does it mean? It means that I am going to feel that because I said I am not taking you to the airport, she did miss her flight. But the truth is what? It's not your responsibility. We'll see that in a little bit. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that. I should have done that instead. If only I had done that, this would not have happened. But the result of the I should, I shouldn't, it's all my fault if, it's really not in your hands. It wasn't in your hands. It wasn't even your responsibility. So this is what we call personalization. Does it ring a bell to any of you or not? Yeah, it happens, right? So many times. And because of that, we're going to feel bad, like to say, oh, you're such a bad person, you're such a bad friend, I can't believe I did that. But the truth is, it's just a matter of personalization, is a matter of misplacing the responsibility. I take the responsibility on me, but it has nothing to do with me, right? And this is the problem of blaming and guilt. What is blame? Blame is when someone has a responsibility for something. So for instance, in that example, the friend, who's a lovely friend, right? And she wants to take, instead of taking like a first-hand an Uber, she calls you and she says, can you take me to, right? This is her choice. Nobody told her to call you to take her to the airport. She chose to call you first. She lost some time. And then she took an Uber and the Uber got this issue and she missed her flight. This is her responsibility. What does it have to do with you? Nothing. But she's blaming you. What is she doing? She's taking the responsibility of hers and she's pushing it onto your shoulders. That's because of you, right? That's because of you. This is, and she's blaming you. Okay, so blaming is putting on somebody else the responsibility that should be on our shoulder. Okay, that's blaming. Now let's see another thing that we Jewish moms are so good at: guilt. Wait, I'm going to drink before I talk about it. I think it's a big. It's a big. Thank you. Guilt. For many women, their entire life is led by guilt, right? Guilt is also an issue of personalization. Why? Guilt is also a misplaced responsibility. This responsibility is not mine, okay? And I take it on my shoulders, willingly. For instance, the person in that example, I feel guilty for not driving my friend to the airport because she missed her flight, but really wasn't my responsibility. No, I am not a taxi driver, but I am a mom, and I needed, my responsibility was to pick up my kids from school, right? That was my responsibility. So why am I feeling guilty? Because I am taking the responsibility of that person on me. I personalize her responsibility and I put it on me. If we understand that this way of thinking is so limiting, it ruins many people's life, right? Because we feel bad, so we do something that we don't want to do. Right? Do you want me to? So nice. So we do things that we don't want to do because we're led by the idea that this is my responsibility, when it is totally not. It works with the kids. Oh la la, I'm so tired, I'm going to have to make meatballs and couscous for this one because he likes this one. Then okay, I feel so guilty that the kid didn't eat what he wanted to eat. And so I'm going to think about it all day. And I'm going to be like in a jail because this is somehow a way to imprison myself in a very narrow mindset, right? So personalization. Okay. So now the problem is that we heard, I don't know if you heard, but I heard that Kol Israel Arevim Ze Laze, that we are all, so some people translate it as responsible for one another. But the truth is it's not really responsible, is we are all interconnected with one another. So if this one has an issue, is it my responsibility? Maybe. And that explains why when you are visiting Israel, sometimes, I'm going to tell you a personal anecdote. One day I was visiting Israel. I go there a lot, every year at least. And I was going to meet with my sister-in-law in a certain restaurant. And I didn't know how to go. It was in the Azrieli Tower or behind, something like that. I was a little lost. So I see someone in the street and I say, can you please help me? I need the direction to that place. Why do you want to go to that place? And I don't know that person now. I'm like, I have to meet with my friend, with my sister-in-law. Call her. I'm like, why? You're not going to that place. I'm like, why? Why am I not going to that place? Because it's not good. It's not good. You have to go somewhere else. I'm going to call my friend. Hold on 1 second. And now he's taking his phone, calling a friend who has a restaurant somewhere else. And okay, now I have the address. And you tell your sister-in-law that you're going to meet over there. I'm going to take you. I'm like, that's not what I asked you. Right? Kol Israel Arevim Ze Laze. My issue matters for him because we are interconnected. But my choice is not his responsibility. he's impacted by my choices, but he's not responsible for my choices. So I went to my investment. It was way too painful. But that's the beauty.
Yes.
Honestly, that's what I love, is that they do care. They care. Why is he telling you not to go there? Because he cares for you. Because if he didn't care for you.
But did you ask?
Also, why? Because, no, but but it can happen every day in the streets, that you can have this type of conversation. But I'm going to tell you another story. When I was, my kids were little. It was about the same time in my life, and I had two kids who were 5 and 7. And here in Miami, I would not let them on their own in the street. Not at all. Okay. And we went to it, and my husband sometimes tells me, you're overprotecting them. You're such a Jewish mama. I'm like, yeah, I'm such a Jewish mama. I'm protecting them because here there's Mishugaim everywhere. I'm not letting them by themselves at 5 and 7, right? But we are in Israel, and we rented something for Sukkot a few streets away from my in-laws. And my husband tells me, like, okay, my in-law, my parents want to see the kids. You want to take them? I said, no, they're going to go by themselves. And he looks at me and he said, I don't understand. Why are they going to go by themselves? Why? And I said, because here, if something happens, everybody cares for them. Not one Israeli will let someone touch my kids in the streets. Why? Because they are like their uncle or their aunt or their cousins. Those kids do matter to them. You go to Paris, where I'm from, as you can tell from my beautiful that I never lost after 20 years of my life. When you go to Paris and you go in the subway, right? You can fell on the ground, have your foot stuck in the door of the subway. Who cares? Honestly, Sarah. See, nobody cares.
That's true.
They're not going to help you. Because they don't even see you unless you have a kippah on your head. Okay, so what does it mean? It means that yes, Kol Israel Arevim Zelazeh, we are impacted by the choice of someone. If you decide to keep Shabbat, it will impact me. If I decide to eat a piece of cake and say the bracha Leilui Nishmato, it's going to add some zechut to this wonderful person who raised that beautiful woman that I know. I didn't have the zechut to meet your father, but right? Because Kol Israel Arevim Zelazeh, but we're not responsible for one another. That's different. We're impacted, we're interconnected, but we are not responsible. So tell your Jewish mom's soul, I am not responsible for everything in the world. I can breathe and get out from that guilt jail because it's so not empowering to feel guilty, right? Okay. So how are we going to step out of it? No, one thing. There's one little that I want to bring here in the personalization, right? Personalization means that I take everything for me. Somehow, even people who feel very guilty and who feel like who don't have a lot of gava, who don't have a lot of pride or something like that, it's still a little bit of pride somehow to consider that everything has to do with me, right? So we have to add a little bit of anava here and try not to bring back everything to me. Not to me, Esther, but to you also. It's a general work. So we have to remember what is my responsibility is what I control. And what do I control? I control what I think, I control what I say, and I control what I do. That's it. The rest is not my responsibility. So whenever you feel like you're going to tell yourself, oh my God, oh, Miskina, she really like it happened to her. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have told her that. Or had I known that she had lost her son, I was thinking about Iris. I would not have said that. You know, tell yourself, listen, is it something that you thought, that you think, or that you said, that you thought that you did, or that you said? Yes or no? If yes, then it's your responsibility. If no, it's not. So let go of that guilt, right? Plus, our Chachamim tell us that guilt is not a Jewish feeling. So let go. We have enough, they have enough people over there who feel guilty. We don't need to. Perfect. Good for us. So how are we going to exit that first issue, that first door, that first P? We're going to ask ourselves if it is really our own responsibility. And is it anybody else's responsibility? If so, then I have, no, because sometimes it's nobody's responsibility. It happens, right? It's nobody's responsibility. Let's take this example of Iris that I was mentioning earlier. Iris is the mother of Yotam, who was a hostage who got shot by IDF soldiers, by mistake, obviously. She said, it is not your responsibility. Don't blame yourself. Don't feel guilty. Hakol min hashamayim. Everything comes from Akadosh Baruch Hu. So what do you have to do in that case? Accept. This is the key to a growth mindset. Acceptance. It's not his responsibility. It's not your responsibility. Accept. That's the only thing we can do. Right? So that's a big switch, an internal switch that enables us to get out of our personal mitzrayim. That's the first one. Do you need to drink? Are you okay? Yeah. Let's go to the second one. The second one we said is permanence. What is permanence? Permanence are words and thoughts that have an impact on our reality. Words and thoughts that have an impact on our reality and that feel like the reality becomes permanent. Okay, we're going to speak about that. So we remember that Pessah, the mouth, Sach, to speak, to tell, right? Sicha, from Sicha. Okay, so it's a permanent language, right? It's a language that imprisons us. How can a language imprison us? I'm going to tell you, for instance, we spoke a little bit about it before. Those labels that we have on our face when we look in the mirror. Nobody else sees that. You don't. Do you think I have a label on my face right now? Look, if I look at myself, oh my God, I have like so many labels on my face. Why? Because I accepted them throughout my childhood. You can't do that. You are not good enough to do that. You're so stupid. You're always late. It's not my personal labels, right? I'm not telling you. We are friends, but it's not. It's not normal for a girl to do that. It's not. It is never. It will always like those words that imprison you, that limit you, that narrow your vision, your abilities. I'm going to give you an example. You know, this year, the Olympic Games will be in France, in Paris. Yeah. I don't know why they do that. Yeah. Anyways, but okay, you know, there is one activity in the Olympic Games that is the saut en hauteur. Quelqu'un m'aide. Des jump. Yeah. How do you call that? High jump. High jump. Okay. So the high jump, right? For many years, there was a belief, and I'm going to give a random number because I don't remember very well the number. There was a belief, let's say, that human beings cannot jump higher than 5'10", right? It's not the real Okay, so you know what? For 50 years, the biggest athletes couldn't go higher than 5 feet 7 or 10 inches. Why? Because they knew they couldn't. A human being can't. That's the limit. Until someone one day in the 70s jumped higher than this. And then what happened? The sky was the limit. Because since then, every year, they keep on reaching higher and higher and higher. And it's not only because of steroids. It's also because they believe the sky is the limit. I can, right? Obama taught us. Yes, you can. Why? Because there is nothing that can limit us besides our thoughts. So when I use a language like that, that is limiting, that is narrowing, I am putting that on myself, on my own. I am opening a door of a very nice prison, stepping in, closing the door, locking the key, and throwing the key somewhere else. Because I cannot do anything else if I keep on speaking with my mouth, Pessah, like that, right? And whether it is about an ability, about a physical defect or physical aspect of the body image of a person, people limit themselves, really, and we all do that, right? So that permanent language is very important to outgrow. So how do we do that? There's a solution. First, we have to acknowledge that this is a language that we use. I didn't even introduce myself, by the way, to some of you that I do know. I'm so sorry, Nafila. My name is Esther Sidbon. Let's do it over. Hi, my name is Esther Sidbon. I am sober for 60 days. I run an organization. So I've been working for Chabad for 15 years for the French Chabad. And after that, I started an organization called Lehaalot. That is an organization of Kiruv. But I also act as a life coach and a trained Madres Fela. And I have some clients. Some clients come to me thinking, I'm not well in my life. I don't know why. It's not good. It's not working well in my marriage. I have so many things that are not working well, and I feel depressed. I feel so sad. Blah, blah, blah. And when you hear them speaking, they have this type of permanent language, right? I can't do that. It's not normal that he acts like this. It's everything he should be doing this. Everything is limiting. And you enter a prison, right? And especially when we are from families who have many principles, many values, sometimes it limits even more. First date and he didn't open the door to the car. What okay, he will never be my husband. Maybe you're passing over your husband, right? Maybe he is the one, he just wasn't educated like that. He doesn't know better for the moment, but you can teach him. Yes, we can. Okay. So first of all, being mindful. One of the first thing I do with people that I hear have this type of language is try to bring awareness on their limiting speech, right? And those patterns of thoughts. Because the worst is not only what you say, it's also we are very good at that. You tell us something and we arrive in another place, dramatizing the entire story in the meantime, and nothing happened in reality. But we're already started thinking about things that are terrible and dramatic, okay? So first bring awareness or be mindful that I am speaking like that. I use this language. I was not aware. Wow, I didn't realize that Actually, I use that. I can't. I can't. I shouldn't. It's not normal. It will never happen. It's always like this. Okay. If it's always like this, what is the hope? Right? What can you hope for? It's terrible. When you have a woman who comes in my office to speak about Shalom Bayit, and she tells you it will never change. He will always be this and that. Okay, so if she believes that, then get a divorce because there's nothing you can do, right? But obviously, there are many things we can do. The first thing is be aware of how your thoughts create your reality. If you think that it will always be like that, well, believe me, it will. Because your thoughts create your reality. The Rebbe Lubavitch tells us that where your thoughts take you, that's where you are. And that's where you really are, right? So we can learn, that's the second thing, be mindful, be aware. And second thing, rephrase it in a non-limiting way. How? For the moment, I can't. For the moment, I can't. For the moment, he's not able to hug me. And it's painful. Because when a husband is not able to hug his wife, it is so painful. And the wife feels so lonely and she feels like it's never going to change. But when you give her a little bit of a silver lining, for the moment, it's just 3 words, but it changes the entire picture. For the moment, he's not able to hug. Can you see that? Okay, then there is a growth mindset in some of us. There is an ocean that is going to split and he's going to hug me one day, right? No, don't worry. So this is how we can do. That's the second thing. The third thing is to find words of growth, words that open again the ocean in front of us. Okay. For instance, we're not going to use the words I have to, I must. We use that so many. Why are you doing that? Well, I have to. Who says you have to? You must. Who said you must? Right? What can you tell yourself instead? I would like, or I wouldn't like. I would like, I wish, I desire. Why? Because it opens up the possibilities in front of you. And it gives also a lot of signals. I wish, I desire, I want, right? This is something positive, contrary to I can't, I have to, I must, right? Then we're going to speak about something that also is going to be a tool for the kids, because the kids have a tendency to personalize everything, and it's normal. And also to use a language that is permanent, like never and always. You forget. I'm going to give you an example. I come from a Sephardi family, and every Shabbat dinner, there has, and I'm saying there has because it's very narrow, there has to be meatballs and couscous. Otherwise, one of my boys can faint, and I'm not sick. That he just has even meatball and he is that he listened to that show one day, not take it personally. But if there is no meat at 3 years old, right? He told me, and I'm not kidding, I promise you, I'm not a liar. And those of you who know me, you can tell I'm very honest. At 3 years old, eating his meatball and his couscous like that, mommy, when I get married, 3 years old, can you give the recipe of the meatballs to my wife? And I'm like, what are you talking about? You're 3 years old, don't stress me with wives already. Right? So it's very important to understand this. Boy, if one day I didn't have time to go, and I'm very organized, so I have my freezer is full of everything and of meatballs. Whenever I cook something, I always cook double batch and I freeze, right? Because I work, we do so many things, and we want to have beautiful table where my grandma used to say, don't show the tablecloth. You have to feel the entire table. Like, okay, so you have that. That's also a limiting task, by the way. That when I don't do 25 salads, I'm like, oh my God, people are going to come. What are they going to think of me? Right? Okay, well, you make 10 salads? And some people don't even make 10 salads. And you're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I didn't have time. And they're like, it's amazing 10 salads. Okay, great. Okay, so this boy, one day, I forget to make my meatballs. It's not that I forget, I didn't have time. I had to take a Kala to somewhere in Reading. I came back to my house. There was a lot of traffic because New Yorkers arrived in Miami, and now there's traffic everywhere. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And I arrived, I opened my freezer. I was sure that I had meatballs in the freezer, and oh my God. I think I was more scared of Joseph than my husband. I promise you. There is no meatballs. Why? Yeah, what am I going to do? And now I try to prepare him. I feel emotionally to that. And I tell him, David, you know how much I love you. Yeah, of course. Well, there's no meatballs tonight. And he was like, what? You make me meatballs. Right? That's also a permanent language. What does it mean? It means that one experience becomes everything. You never do that. You always are like this. You never take out the garbage. Who didn't say that to their husband? You never take out the garbage. You never have to wear the jeans when it's 6 o'clock and I have to give the bath and leave the bath. Right? I know, I'm at the office. Okay, so of course it's very difficult. It's so difficult, but it's once in a lifetime and we make it like it's never, it's always. So what can we do for that? To correct that? We can use again Pessah. Pessah teaches us that nothing is permanent. אתמול היינו עבדים, היום בנחורים. Right? Yesterday we were slaves. And today, do you have the same tune in your house? No? Anyways, I'm just reviewing training for intimacy. And so yesterday I was a slave, and today I am a free man, a free person. Isn't that beautiful? What does it teach us, Pessah? Nothing is permanent. From slave, you can become the king, the son of a king, because we became Bat Melech that day. We became the daughters of Akadosh Baruch Hu, from the state of slave to the state of royalty, right? So this is we have to understand and to bring that awareness also to ourselves. If we tend to say it's never, it's always, our kids, I've been speaking a lot with my son about that, and it works. Okay. Now the last one, but not the least, is called pervasiveness. Pervasiveness, what is it? What is something pervasive? Is something, for instance, like smoke, right? If there is smoke, God forbid, in a room, and it goes under the door, it goes everywhere. It fills the entire room, right? So pervasiveness is this limit that penetrates our entire life. What do I mean by that? It's, oh my God, now that you did that, my life is ruined. So again, that example could have been, it was not with that style, but now that you didn't make the meatballs, my life is ruined. He could have said that, he didn't. But he could have said, those people who feel like everything is Well, you know what? We had our first fight with my husband. Now our marriage is ending. No, my love. Believe me, it's not like that. You will have others, right? And it will be just fine. And it will be okay. And everybody goes through disputes and conversations and merci beaucoup and machloket and lack of shalom bayit sometimes, and it's okay because tomorrow it might be different, right? So we have to understand that life is not just one whole. It's just not one thing. It's not because, look at this woman again, I'm going to take that same person, Iris. She lost one of her sons. Yesterday at the dinner for Kolel Chabad, which by the way is an amazing organization. And if you have to give the some money for Pessah before Pessah, for families who need to eat, they are feeding. It's the oldest organization of Chesed in Yerushalayim. It was created in 1788, so a really long time ago, and they feed thousands of families. And unfortunately, now more than ever, they need to be able to feed a lot of families who lost their parnasa. And so, if you ever want to donate, you can either text me and I'll send you the link. Otherwise, you go to Kolel Chabad, CHABAD.org, and you can donate, and it will be much appreciated. And it's a big thing to share because Kol Israel Alev Zelazel, so that we are also a little bit responsible for each other. We need to support each other, right? But anyways, let's go back. So we have to understand that yes, life is not just one thing. It's not because a part of you, a part of me was not exactly the way I wanted, but the rest of my life is a mess. Let's stop that smoke from spreading. From what? Spreading, exactly. From spreading, right? And how do we do that? First, we have to understand life has, in psychology, we said there's domains of life. A domain of life, what is it? It's friendship, it's health, it's marriage, it's kids, it's a relationship with the professional relationship, networking, whatever you name it, right? Those are so many different domains of life. We don't need to let them be totally contaminated by this problem. It's not because you have a problem with, I don't know, with not having like a housekeeper before Pessah, that the entire house is terrible and that your life is ruined. No, everything is going to be okay. So we have to remind ourselves that yes, a part of me feels frustrated that the housekeeper told me yesterday, by the way, thank God, I hope she doesn't answer tomorrow, that she's leaving and that I'm going to be doing the housekeeping for Pessah on my own. Wow, okay, of course, this is frustrating, this is annoying, but this is just a part of me. A part of me is hurt when, and I'm not saying for me, but my husband says, oh, go change, like, what is this skirt? Okay, it's a little tight, no? Have you worn this skirt recently? Of course, a part of me feels like, oh my God, do you think I'm fat? Right? But it's annoying, but I like to eat. So, right? By the way, it's not when my husband tells me. He's a good liar. He always does. A part of me feels hurt by your reaction, but it's just a part of me. By using this, when you speak to yourself, by using a part of me feels destroyed, a part of me feels sad, a part of me feels, then wow, you see that there is a huge ocean in front of you of yourself, domains of yourself who are fine. So you don't get so sad, so negative, so destroyed, so depressed. And what happens? You understand that life is not just black and white, like Michael Jackson said it once. And that's we can go out of Mitzrayim if we want with those three tools. And now, thank you for your attention. Thank you, Annie, for to all of you, even though we have plenty of time. So before that, I want to wish you a lot of resistance. Think that dust is my previous Rabbi Laziel, Zichron Livracha, always told me, Esther, remember, my daughter, that dust is not chametz.
If you talk to.
You don't need, I don't do. I sell. I get rid of all my, I eat. I'm not cooking a lot for a few weeks in order to get rid of everything that is chametz gamur in my freezer, because I told you like I have this freezer. If there is a hurricane, you can come to my house. You will have boulet and couscous. Okay, so I just wish you to think whenever you do the action, when you are in the action of taking away the chametz, think the most important part is also to take away the chametz within me. And to free myself from those patterns, because these are patterns that we all know correspond to something that limits us. So may HaKadosh Baruch Hu give you a very happy Pessah, and I hope that you all have your dress ready for Mashiach, because I really want to believe that from Colombia I'm going to fly directly to Yerushalayim. Welcome Mashiach. I'm bringing I have my dress for Mashiach since before Pessah 2020, because I was sure that if the world had stopped, it's because Mashiach was coming. And I was very sad. You know, we opened the door for Eliyahu Hanavi, and I said, where are you? Like, we waited really a long time with my kids and my husband and my parents, and we waited in front of the door. And I was very sad. And I told HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please send him. Every year I'm waiting. So Bezrat Hashem, this time, I'll meet you, those that I don't see very often. Let's meet together with Hashem and everybody. Share. Bye.